I met Aaron and Geeta, who had directed a documentary that I loved about the retired vets who welcome people in Maine getting on and off the planes when they go to war. And it was so beautiful. And I had seen that movie and loved it, and then I was sent this script, Queenpins. And everyone had been talking about it. I read it and I was engaged from the moment I opened the script until the moment I finished it. And I was immediately knew I wanted to do it. I play Connie Kaminsky, who is a former Olympic race walker. So in her heyday, when she was in the Olympics, she had quite a bit of acclaim and she felt like she was on top of the world. And now she is living as essentially a housewife in Arizona who is desperately wanting a baby, doesn't really have a connection in her marriage, and is kind of looking for a way to feel valued. Enter this coupon scam. It's based on a true story of 3 suburban housewives who actually accomplished this. They laundered $40 million before they were eventually caught by the FBI. And though their character names and were different, and none of them were race walkers, but Aaron and Geeta, when they wrote the script, they thought, wouldn't it be cool if Connie was this like committed to achievement Olympic style person. They were like, oh, well, what if she's just actually an Olympic athlete who had that taste of achievement and then it was taken away from her and felt like her life needed more. She felt discounted and she wanted to be valued. So I read all the original stories about the women who accomplished this grand scheme, and they were very, very smart. So they took liberties into changing it to being just Kirby and I. But it's still a pretty dynamic pair. I knew quite a bit, believe it or not, because my grandmother was an extreme couponer. Like when I went to my grandparents' house when I was little, walked down into their basement in Ohio. Along the perimeter of the basement was completely empty. It was for like kickball and couponing. And there were cardboard boxes along the edges of the walls separated into UPC codes. So there was a toothpaste one and there was a laundry detergent one. And we would have to cut out the soup can labels and send them to my grandmother. And she would write the company, and it wasn't for a scam, but it was like, hey, Campbell's Soup, I've bought 80 soups this month, and they'd send her like a $5 check. Back then, they would actually just give you some money back. And then my grandmother started college accounts for all of her grandkids with the small amounts she was making from writing the companies. So I knew there was this big underground business in couponing and in contacting the companies. So JoJo and Connie's dynamic it's not so similar to Kirby and I in real life, but it's still very special. JoJo is like a female entrepreneur that is trying her hardest and just cannot catch a break. And she's sort of the fun one in this best friendship. And Connie is a little bit more calculating and actually finds the scheme and ropes JoJo into this. But they had to have this chemistry. So that was one thing I loved about it being Kirby, is that we already have a chemistry and this friendship, so it was very easy for us to fall into these roles. Aaron and Geeta had written a script where it was so clear why you're rooting for these girls. They wrote so many scenes in the beginning that make the audience go, God, I just want these girls to get a win. They deserve it, And hopefully people will see themselves in these women and go like, yeah, I can totally see why they did not feel valued and why they decided to break some rules, because the rules were not meant for them. Everything was stacked against them, and they decided to make their own rules. Paul is one of the most talented improvers I have ever come across. I was nervous in the beginning, knowing that Vince Vaughn was going to be playing Paul's counterpart in the movie. And I thought, oof, I mean, Vince is Vince, right? He's like one of the best improvers of all time. And I was like, I hope Paul can hang. And then watching the scenes between them, I was like, oh, okay, Paul can hang. The two of them together have, dare I say, maybe even more chemistry than Kirby and I have. And when they go tete-a-tete and they go off the script, it is so dynamically funny and fun to watch. They're really, really good as a team. They rely on each other and they check with each other in a way that is like very wholesome. They're never trying to one up each other, and just having that attitude on a set where you're seeing these beautiful partners want to have a common goal and execute it together with all of us, it's incredibly collaborative, and it made for a very nice set to work on. They're also some of the best writers I've ever worked with. Their script is so nuanced and layered, and the words are chosen so perfectly, it's very easy to say their words. So the cool thing about this movie is that you get to track them from these, women who are living in their houses in Arizona and feeling totally undervalued, to them starting to get this business going, then them making a lot of money, then them not knowing what to do with it, and then they try to clean it, so they buy all of these expensive items. So we had all these Lamborghinis on set, and we had a plane in the hangar that they were storing. They bought a plane, they bought a motorhome and a speedboat, and they were flying themselves to and from Vegas just to have dinner to celebrate. They were really spending their money. And it was pretty fun to pretend to be that girl with Kirby, to drive in a Lambo and fly on a private jet just to go get some sushi in Vegas.